FUNCLE's Customs, where I find all kinds of cars in different places. I usually fix them and flip them, but sometimes I keep them. This is My Garage Revivals.
I got a call from Hugo last night, and he asked me to bring my Ram truck. Hello everybody, and welcome back to My Garage Revivals. So yes, as you can see, we have managed to get our shop truck that we were putting together in the last episode up and running. So you'll be pleased to know that it has also gone for the inspection and it passed. I just had to do a couple of things to this, obviously to make it roadworthy. So we've got all the lights working again, and we also replaced some of the missing trim pieces, and we had a broken indicator. That was basically the only thing that was wrong with this truck after I put the engine in and the dashboard and fired it up. So yeah, this is basically our new shop truck now. But then again, also I used it now to come and pick up some stuff from the shop over here, because obviously we need to continue work on Harry's 3rd gen Firebird. And I also got some new wheels for Cyclone's Lada Wagon. And I also bought myself a new toy, which we will go and demonstrate how that works back at the shop. So let's jump in and make our way back to our shop. Alright, so we are back at the shop, and yeah, today we are going to be continue working on Harry's 3rd gen Firebird over here. So as you can see, we've got all of the suspension parts we need to get this thing basically put back onto its wheels. But yes, we don't have the wheels for this car just yet. So we are going to be putting the ones back onto the car that we currently have available to us. So that is one thing that we can do today. But the next thing that I want to do is quickly just show off how this little tool works. So this is an air compressor, and yeah, this car over here was actually a gift from Hugo. So when he called me up last night, he asked me to bring my ramp truck, and yes, he actually gave me this car, which is a 1957 Chevy Belair. So he got this car from his brother, in other words, Dennis's father, and he had a couple of these sitting around, and then Hugo actually got this car quite a while ago. So he decided to give it to me now, sort of to say sorry for getting my truck stolen. So we've got another project vehicle, basically on top of our next project vehicle, which I'm going to be getting soon. So first of all, we're going to just see if this is going to work. That's not too bad, so it definitely does the job. Right, so this is going to be a lot of help in the shop, because yeah, we don't have to pump it up with an air pump, a hand pump anymore. So this is a little bit of an upgrade for us. Right, well, I think it's safe to say that this is definitely working. It's just a little bit finicky, but we'll hopefully start using this a little bit more than our hand pump that we've got in the toolbox. So yeah, that's a little bit of an upgrade for the shop in terms of tools that we have. But as you can see, we've got Harry's car up on the lift a little bit higher now. So we've got the rear spoiler taken off, and I did start getting some of the rust off underneath the car. And then when I took the spoiler off, I noticed this was of a later model Firebird. So I did a little bit of, not really research, I just did a little bit of looking around, and I've noticed that we've got a couple of things missing actually on this car. As you can see, we've got a formula spoiler for the Firebird, which we're going to be installing. I don't think this is really accurate to a 1987 model, but I think it's just a little bit better than the one we currently have. So we also have got the correct bumper for the model, which is a 87 rear bumper. And obviously we need to install all of these pieces of trim as well to suit the car's year model again. So I think maybe these things were taken off and never put back onto the car, so I've decided to just buy some new ones. And we also have got a brand new taillight bezel, which is the correct design for this year model of the car. So it looks like this car was actually rear-ended at some point, and they swapped out the parts with an older model Firebird. So for that reason, we are going to turn this thing back into a proper 1987 model by attaching all of these parts. So we've got all the ground effects for all the doors and the trim, and also the ones that go on the quarter panel over here. It's just these little short pieces like this. So I think this is for the right hand side. And then we've got the one for the driver's side as well. We can quickly pop that on. So there we go. That is looking much better already. Now we just need to get this rear bumper removed, because we need to replace it with the correct one. So we'll come and undo these two bolts, and then we'll get rid of this bumper, which is the wrong one. So let's put that down over there, and then we will pop this one into place, and that lines up much better. Alright, so let me quickly see if I can get these bolts tied down again. So there they are. Right, so perfect. That already looks a little bit better. And we can also slap our spoiler on. And there we go. So I think this is going to look a little bit better once we get everything installed. So I think for the rear taillight panel, we need to cut it off with the angle grinder. But I just need to get the cutting disc mounted to this thing again. So let's grab the cutting disc just like that. And then we're gonna come over here, and I think if we cut over here and over there, I'm not sure if that is exactly everything we need to cut to get these taillight panels removed. So let me just see what else I can do over here. Yeah, maybe I need to take off this bumper again. So let's grab our wrench again. Just get this bumper removed again, because I think there's a cut behind here we cannot see with the bumper installed. So let's see how this is going to work. Alright, so there's the cut we were missing, I believe. And there's our old taillight panel. So this part is actually still good, as well as the rear bumper we took off is still good. So this will probably go into our barn for future projects. So now we can get our nice taillight panel installed onto the car. Just like that. And I believe we can weld it into place again. So let's grab our welding machine. Alright, and then we'll be sure to weld up everything. Actually, it looks like we had a missing weld over there, which we were able to catch. So that is pretty good. Alright, and then on with the bumper. And get it bolted down. Just like that. And there we go. Now we've got a proper 1987 Firebird again. Well, in my opinion, just looks a little bit better with all the correct parts installed. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this thing back up again. We're going to start putting the rear suspension and the front suspension together. We're going to get it installed and then see how everything comes together. So obviously we've got a bunch of new parts, and there are some parts that are second-hand parts or the old parts of the car. So we are going to be putting everything back together and just see how it looks and what we are missing, because I believe we've got everything. So let's start with our rear brake handbrake cable, which is over there. For some reason it decided to go back there. Let's bolt this handbrake cable down again. Then we'll grab our rear hubs. Alright, let's zip these down. Perfect. And then the next one for the other side. I think this is the second-hand one or the used one we had, which is still fairly decent. So we'll put that back onto this new axle. Alright, and then as for the rear suspension, we've got new brake discs for both sides. Let's just see, does this want to go on? There we go, it's just a little bit finicky. Alright, and the other one, just like that. Alright, perfect. So let's get our brand new brake pads into the calipers. So once again, I've replaced the one caliper with a brand new one, and the other one is still the old one. So that should still do the job quite well. And we didn't get this one in, so let's split it in. And then we've got some brake hoses over here. So let's get some new brake hoses installed, just like this. And on this one, all right, let me just be sure to get it. There we go. All right, so now the right hand side is probably this side. Let's just see. No, it's probably, let me just put this thing. All right, let's put it like that. And there it goes. Right hand side, and then we've got our left hand side. Just like that. All right, and then let's grab our leaf springs. We'll get them mounted to the frame rails over here. And let's grab the other one. All right, just like that. And now I believe our axle should actually go in. There it is. All right, let's bolt down the axle. All right, perfect. And then last but not least, at the back, we've got the two shock absorbers over here, which are brand new ones. Let's see where these want to go. All right, just like that. And the other one. There we go, perfect. Alright, so let's just see what else we can do now. I think we can get our main brake line installed from here. We'll just zip down these two brake hoses for the time being. Alright, and then anything else here for the back? Nothing really. We've got a brand new 5-speed transmission that I've ordered as well. So let's get this fitted. Alright, just like that. And then we can get our drive shaft installed. Right, so as for the engine for this car, I did send that engine in for some repairs, because obviously we need to refurbish the whole engine, but that is not going to be the engine we're going to be putting back into this car. The reason being, I did source a very nice 340 cubic inch engine, which we are going to be installing into this thing, which is going to be a bit of an upgrade. And I also think it's going to complement the engine bay a little bit more if we get a proper good looking engine installed. So we do have a brand new radiator as well with new radiator hoses. So that is going to provide sufficient cooling for our engine that we are going to be putting into this thing. Alright, so now that the radiator is in, we can get this thing lifted up again. And I think what I want to start with is these torsion bars. Get the new torsion bars in, because in the last episode I didn't take the old ones out, but I took them out off camera and I saw that they were actually worn. So I've got two brand new ones that's going into the car. or into the suspension. And then we can now start assembling our front suspension by means of starting with the cross member. So I've got some new control arms, because obviously the ones that we had weren't all that good. We've got the old one over here we are putting back in, but the upper ones, yeah, I think actually this one, yeah, this was also an old part, so we'll still use that. But for the rest of the parts, we had to pretty much buy everything new. So we've got new strut bars or strut rods going in, just like this. And then we've got new hub carriers. We can actually assemble these on the table. So let's do it like this. We'll bolt everything together here. Let's get our brake discs mounted. And once again, this is an old brake disc. We can reuse that one. Alright, so let's bolt these down like that. And then I think we can actually get our calipers on as well. So let's get our brake pads into the calipers. Just like this. Alright, come on. Why am I struggling with this? There we go. Alright, so those are the calipers. This one goes onto here. I'll zip it down. Let's just bring this one closer. And there we go. We've got our front left caliper on. Alright, so this should be able to go onto there. And then we'll grab the other one. Put it on like that. Alright, so these parts needs to go onto the car. We've got new torsion bars, tie rods, obviously. And then some parts for the interior, like the handbrake lever we're going to be replacing. Let's get the brake hoses into place, just like that. Alright, so let's go and slap this thing into the front over here. There we go. So those are all the bolts tightened down on that. Then we'll do up the brake hoses. And then we'll grab our front arms, upper arms. Let's get these put into place. Alright, perfect. And then we'll grab this one. Just like that. Alright, and now it's going to be shock absorbers over there and on top. Same story with this one. We'll get this into place and bolt it down and bolt it down. Alright, so let's start with our steering parts. So we've got a steering box we can put back, because this is the one from the car originally. And I believe this little steering arm is also the original one from the car. So we'll put that back into place over there. Just two nuts to tie down on that. We have got a brand new steering link, because the link bar on this car was quite shot. So we got a new one of those. And then I believe it's just our tie rods that needs to mount to this. And then we should be basically done with the stuff under the car. Then it's the pedals and the handbrake lever, but for that we'll push the car forward to get once we lowered it down. Alright, and there we go. And let's grab this one. Just like that. Alright, perfect. Alright, so now we are ready to put some wheels back onto this car. So as I said, we're just going to mount these temporarily. We've got a brand new set of wheels coming for this car that are definitely going to make this car look like a proper 87 Firebird again. Alright, just like that. And put this one on over here. And the last one goes onto here. We'll zip it down. Perfect. I think we should be ready to lower this thing down. So let's see if that is going to be fine. Alright, doesn't look too bad. It's been lowered down to the ground and everything is sitting alright now. We don't have any more suspension issues, the car leaning over to one side. So let's see, we've got a handbrake cable installed still, so we'll just see. Oh, obviously it was loose. And let's push it forward a bit. Alright, I think it should be fine over here. Alright, so we are going to be replacing that arm as well, and we've got some new pedals. So let's grab these pedals. First of all, I think we need to remove the dashboard in order to get to those bolts. So let's get our screwdriver. And now I need to investigate where these screws are on the dashboard, because they are a little bit tricky to find. There's one. Alright, let's go around the other side. Alright, so there's the dashboard out of the way. So now we can probably get to those pedals. So in terms of interior, I did speak to Harry. We are going to be putting in some red interior into this car. And as for the paint job, he left that basically for me to decide what color we need to paint this car. So I've got a pretty decent idea of what color scheme I want to be going with, especially now that we are going to go with red interior. So you guys are just going to have to wait and see what color I choose for this car, but I promise you guys it's going to be very nice. Yeah, these pedals are definitely shot, so it's a good thing we are replacing them. And then we're also going to replace this handbrake lever over here. Let's just see if I can get to these bolts. Here we go. Alright, so this one was obviously also shot, so we'll get a new one installed. Alright, and there we go. And just like that, we've got our car pretty much sorted out as far as we can. So I don't think I'm going to bother putting the dashboard back, because we are going to be swapping this out with a red one. But we do need to come and install our main brake booster. So let's grab this, get that into place. Alright, and then let's just see where these bolts are. There's one and there's one. Alright, so that is basically everything that we had to do to this car for this episode. So I'm pretty sure everything is installed correctly and all the bolts are tightened down. So we are basically waiting for the engine to come. That should be here by Friday, so that we can get that installed. And then obviously I will take all of these parts back to the shop. Nearly forgot about the gas tank, so let's also get this slid under the car. Alright, we'll just be sure to bolt the gas tank down properly. We've got 6 bolts on this. Alright, so that's our gas tank sorted out. Alright, so we've got a couple of parts we're going to be scrapping, obviously, and we are going to be replacing the interior, because the interior is quite bad. So I'm sure we can probably pop out all of these interior panels. So let's see. I know this back panel, sometimes there's a little bit of a tricky situation with them. If the thing was actually bolted down properly, because there are actually 2 bolts to this, but I see they haven't done the second one. So it's just the 1 bolt. So that is out of the way. And then we've got some bad seats to take out, but I'm not going to take the driver's seat out. We'll leave that one in, as well as the gear shifter, because we need those parts to get the car moving up and down. Right, so there's our passenger seat. Definitely looking very bad. And then the headliner. We'll grab it like this. Alright, can I just get it? Let me put the wrench down maybe. Alright, so there's our headliner. The headliner itself doesn't look too bad, but it's definitely worn, so we'll get a nice headliner installed into this car as well. Alright, as for the door panels, I'm pretty sure they will pry off with the pry tool. Just like that. Not really a problem. And let's get this one removed as well. This door panel doesn't look too bad. Alright, just like that. So we've got our interior out of the way. We've got our suspension put back together. And I must say this car actually sits much better now. There's not a lot of problems with the body either, except for some rust spots here and there. But that is a job for the paint booth. The guys over at Richard's Auto Body will sort that out for us. So this thing definitely is starting to come together. So I'm going to try and push this car out of the way a bit so that we can bring the 1957 Belair into the shop, because I want to see if I can start working on that car as well, just to see what's going on with the suspension. Obviously the handbrake is up. Alright, so let me see if I can get this thing out of the way once again. Alright, so I've moved the car back out of the way a little bit, and we're just moving the shop truck. Just gonna park it up under the shade over here, or under the carport, because then it's also gonna be out of the way for the Belair. So there we go, that should do the trick. Alright, now we're gonna see if this thing still wants to fire up, because I think it's been sitting a while, and I think Hugo told me that the battery isn't the best. So let's just see what it does. Alright, so it's definitely weak, but it did start up, no problem. I'm actually surprised that this thing runs as good as it does. But I don't think it's really safe to drive yet, because we are missing quite a bit of parts on this thing. For example, wheel wells. So we're gonna see what wheel wells we can find for this car. Alright, let's just park up here. And we'll push it back into position for the lift arms. Oh my goodness, I just noticed the windscreen is cracked. We're gonna have to see if we can find a windscreen for this car as well. That is going to be expensive. Can already tell we've got a lot of issues, and we'll probably have to figure out what's going on with the gas tank. We'll get a proper gas tank for this as well. Alright, let me just put the e-brake on. Alright, let's get this thing lifted up and see what is going on with our suspension. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing lifted up now. Alright, so I think that's high enough for now. We just need to basically start looking at what's going on with the suspension. So I think there's a couple of parts we need to replace, because I think everything is probably still original on this thing, except for the wheels. I don't think these are original wheels for this car. Yeah, as I thought, we don't even have a brake rotor on that side. So let's start by taking all the wheels off first of all. Yep, definitely not the original wheels for this car. We'll see if we can find something suitable. I actually do like the wheels that are currently on the 3rd gen Firebird. So I can only imagine those wheels with some white lettering tires on this car would actually look very nice. But then we are going to have to figure out if we can find a 4th wheel like this, because we only have the 3 on this car. So that's going to be something we'll have to see what we can figure out. It looks like this car was in a bit of a front end collision. Got some bent parts over there, and the hood is also a little bit bent. So hopefully that's going to be something we can straighten out. Otherwise, we're going to have to see if we can source a new hood for this thing, or a better hood for this thing. Alright, so let's start with front suspension. We're going to basically just rip all these parts off and investigate them, but I actually want to try and see if we can take out this whole front subframe. I think that's going to be easier. Then we can strip it maybe off camera a little bit further. I just want to get it out of here. Alright, and then we've got some bolts on the engine mounts. I'm not sure if we're going to reach it from up here or from down here. We'll have to go from the top maybe. So let's lower this thing down a bit. Alright, so there's the one engine mount. And if I'm not mistaken, once I loosen this, our front cross member should pop out. So let's lift it back up. Alright, so here's our front cross member assembly. So we're just going to set this one side. I'm going to have to replace this cross member itself, and basically all of these parts we're going to have to check all of those, see what is still good and what is bad. So coming over to the back side, we're going to see if we can do the similar thing, but this time around we're going to take off the shock absorbers first. Not that they are in any good condition, so we don't really need to keep them, but we will get them off the car just like that, and this one as well. And there we go. So there it goes. And as for the drive shaft, I'm not sure if this is going to come out. There we go. Alright, so that is also out. And then transmission. You can probably pop the transmission out as well, and the engine. Alright, let's just move this out of the way a bit. Alright, there we go. We are all the way down. So now let's get these bolts undone on the transmission. We've got our starter bolt. Well, starter wire bolt. And we've got our bolts on this side. So that should let the transmission stay behind once we lift this thing up again. Alright, here's the transmission. And now we're going to grab the engine. So the engine does have some good parts on it by the looks of it, but we are busy rebuilding an engine for this thing already. So we'll see what engine we're going to be going with eventually, because I've also got another word from Cyclone. He said that he's got an engine for me that he's going to send over once the Lada is done as part of payment. So that is also something to look forward to for us. But yes, we do know this engine runs, and we do know that it doesn't start up easily. So that's because of our battery that is dying. And we can clearly see why the battery isn't charging, because this alternator is definitely bad. The gearbox doesn't look too bad either, but we'll see what we can figure out with this thing. Because my plan for this car is to keep it as a daily driver for myself, and also so that we've got at least our own classic collectible car, or collector's item car. And this is going to be the car that we hopefully end up having some pride in, and taking care of it and making sure that it's maintained properly. And also it's going to become a little bit of a head turner once we are done with it. So that is my idea for this car. But yes, looking at the time, I think that is all that we have got time for in this episode. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate every view, every like. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I will appreciate it very much. But yes, until the next time, cheerio.